Welcome to an interview with Melissa Llarena, the podcast for executives who go after what they want with curiosity, creativity, and courage. Hi, I'm Melissa. I'm a career strategist, and I want to help you shift your focus from landing a job at a Fortune 500 company to finally figuring out how you can build your own billion-dollar career. Sounds good? Then keep listening. Meet Suzy Batiz. Transformation is the common thread that runs throughout founder and creator Suzy Batiz's life and her companies. Whether transforming the bathroom into a pleasant smelling experience with Poo Pourri, the household cleaning industry from toxicity to aromatherapeutic magic with Supernatural, or people's lives with her growing portfolio of Alive OS courses. Suzy is a revolutionary explorer of infinite potential in the playground of life. She loves to inspire others and bring them along for the ride, with energy being her native tongue. Enjoy this sneak peek into our conversation. How can we be more compassionate to ourselves? I definitely operate in the tough love sort of things for myself, but I want to be more self-compassionate. So I wanted to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, it's such a good question. Like I said, the first thing that popped up to me, I've been studying a lot of Taoism. And in Taoism, the paths to enlightenment are really just two main things, and accept and allow. So the question with that is, can I accept that whatever I've done? And can I allow whatever behavior that I had to exist right into the world? So what happens is there's an internal struggle where we want to beat ourselves up so that we don't do it again, right? And that actually further imprints the behavior. So what's really nice to do is go, can I fully accept myself? And can I fully accept and allow that I've done what I've done, I did what I did, and that I'm actually here because of all of those things. And that to me, so instead of trying to be compassionate, it's like, first, can I just accept? David Hawkins has the scale of consciousness. I don't know if you've read Power versus Force. Have you read that book?
I haven't.
Yeah, it's a great book. And he talks about using, power versus force, right? We always use this external force. And in the scale of consciousness, the moment like guilt and shame are the lowest vibration that he says, your lowest scale of consciousness, and the highest is enlightenment. The pivot point in that whole scale that he has is acceptance. Can we first just accept ourselves? So that's what I do first of all. And then I think about, it's like, what's this why would I beat myself up? We look at people in the world and we go, they're so violent. Look at what they're doing. But rarely do we look at our own internal violence that we have within ourselves. So really, we're trying to fix, I know so many people that are in social justice and they're trying to fix all the violence in the world. And I know they have so much internal violence going on for themselves. And like Gandhi said, be the change. It sounds a little cliche, but it's really true. Like, how can we ever fix the world or talk about everyone else if we can't accept the violence within ourselves? And once we accept it, then we can stop doing that behavior of beating ourselves up. And I believe that's the source of compassion.
I love that. And I think it's gentle, there's definitely like a nurturing aspect to it, which I think is so, it's mothering in a way, but to ourselves.
Completely. It's like, can I sit with someone and accept their anger or whatever, or do I try to push back and try to overpower them? We do that with ourselves internally. And I just know this from my own old patterns of beating myself up. It's just, my mentor, Gay Hendricks, says there's zero intrinsic intrinsic value in beating yourself up. Zero. He's a PhD in psychology. There's no value whatsoever, but the mind plays tricks that if we beat ourselves up, we can keep ourselves in line, and it's such a really messed up thing. We talk about the violence we had as a child, or you talk a little about trauma, but how traumatic are we actually? What trauma are we inflicting upon ourselves every day by trying to keep ourselves in line? So just noticing those behaviors and accepting them. And then with that point of acceptance, you can start shifting and start noticing when you're in those patterns of doing it. Most people don't even notice. You wake up 2 days later and think, my God, I've been kicking my own ass for this thing that I did, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's so automatic, we don't even know that we're doing it. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I completely can see that. And I think the point of acceptance is definitely something that I would love to just get in a place where I'm still enough with myself that I
Yeah.
can really just say, okay, Melissa, you did what you did, or whatever happened, or your thought was the thought, but let's move forward in a positive way, just kind of keep it going forward.
Right. And so what happens with that is we skip a step. So the
Mm.
first step is, can you just accept that you're even uh, having a hard time with acceptance? Do you see? It's like, hold on, I'm having a hard time teaching myself that I should accept. So it's like just back up a little bit and just really start sitting and appreciating and feeling. That's the main
Mm.
thing. It's to feel the guilt or the shame or the anger, whatever we have, and really process that within ourselves so that we can allow more flow to happen. And then whenever my experience is when I'm more compassionate to myself, I'm also more compassionate to others naturally. But there's
Yeah.
no way for me to have empathy or compassion if I can't have it within myself because I don't even know how it's done. It would be
Mm.
fake. It would be really fake, right? But whenever I can
Yeah.
start having it with myself, then it is not coming from a fake source. I'm truly able to understand because I do that with my own self.
Absolutely. I think I mean, that is something that personally I have to keep working on, but I completely understand what you're saying. And it's something that I think, again, it just really is about having that opportunity to listen to what it is that I am feeling, and exhibiting that self-compassion. And you mentioned it earlier, and so I wanted to ask about that, and that's of empathy.
Mhm.
Specifically, I was very, very curious, like, how can we do better?
To think that we're not going to struggle is absolutely insanity because every single person has struggled. So if it wasn't part of our evolutionary human plan, why would everybody struggle or suffer? It's just part of it. So instead of thinking I shouldn't struggle or I shouldn't
Mm.
suffer, it's like, how can I build my own internal well-being? It's like floating down a river. How can I be the water as opposed to I struggled. I shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened. Oh my God, that's so victim mentality. How can I be like, you know what? I saw that rock ahead and I didn't move to the left. Next time I'm going to move to the left. Okay, and then we'll move to the right. It's like, I think we give too much credit. I had someone today that is one of my friends is a top political consultant, and she was telling me about someone made this racist statement, and I said the problem is you believe people shouldn't be racist, that they should know better. I said the point is they don't know better, and we know that they were programmed that way. So it's your job to teach them. I said the reason you're struggling is because you think it shouldn't be that way. Just accept it's that way. Now let's start teaching. I said, imagine a calculus teacher if they came into class and said, okay, kids, we're all going to learn calculus, and all the kids don't know calculus, and the teacher's pissed off. Like, how dare you? You don't know calculus, you know? I said, it's your job to teach this. And she was like, oh my God, you're right. I'm like, yeah, it's what I've learned myself. The more I keep expecting people or things to do something, the more I suffer. So when I can accept, like, they're just ignorant. They don't know. Okay, it's my job to teach. Let's go. People, come on. Right?
Yeah. And I mean, what you're saying totally, it reminds me of Byron Katie's book for sure. Just,
Yeah.
if you expect that your parents are going to criticize you or judge you, it's a lot easier than if you keep going into the situation or the moment, just kind of being like, what? You're judging me?
Yeah. How dare you? It's like people are savage, people are opportunistic, right? People are savage. One of my friends just lived 6 months in the woods in the wild by herself. I mean, wild. She came back wild, okay? And she's like, I started realizing we're animals. Humans are animals. You know, we're all acting like we're all enlightened and sitting in lotus position. No, we're savage, man. But once you know that, you can deal with that, right? You can stop expecting people. It's like, as long as I know that, I can start moving the way a cheetah does in the jungle, right? A cheetah doesn't expect a lion to be nice. He's like, oh, it's a lion. Okay, great. You know, I mean, I don't know, I haven't been a cheetah, but I would imagine. He's like, oh, a lion, watch out. Okay, move over here, right? As long as we know that, we can be better prepared to move through life.
So this one thought that's been humming in the back of my mind is that life is unfair. And I know where it comes from because I
Yeah.
just had a conversation with a family member and they reiterated it. And I was like, oh, that's where it came from. But how is it, or what's the first step that we can take, to get to a place where we can hold as a possibility that life is easy?
Well, I think first in accepting that life is unfair. The odds might be stacked against you. That might be true. You know, we are humans that need shelter. We need certain things. So life in itself, if you're out in the wild by yourself, it's pretty unfair. You know, there's tigers and, there's poisonous snakes and there's people that may hurt us. So don't disillusion yourself that life is fair. Once you understand that it is unfair, then it can start being easy because you already understand it. And it's not from a bitter place of it's unfair. It's just like, oh yeah, it happens. Life's unfair. Okay, what am I gonna do now? Let's move on. And there's an acceptance and flow, and then life starts being easy because I'm not attached to how it should be. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Join us on melissallarena.com/podcast to hear this entire interview. You never know how hearing about someone else's journey can impact your own.